So, Havoc in 2026, specifically after the expeditions. But first, we don't expect this mode to be easy at all. This is supposed to be the hardest thing in the game. We know that. But the game allows you to play as a duo with the bots. And we have noticed a huge change since the expeditions were added, where we were able to pass level 25, 26 before. And now we can barely get over level 21.
I think, like you said, we're talking from a duo standpoint, but also a full team. The two things I want to say about that is, as a duo, we've usually been able to go into the mid-20s, but even when we squad up in pubs, we never can go much higher because the pub players, it usually doesn't go good. And we've had level 40s, max level, join our party, and they just flop over in the first 1 to 2 minutes of the mission. It's always horrible, and it's always like that. We prefer to have a lower Havoc rank player, and we've had it, that plays their butts off and plays with us, and we still fail. It just happens. But that's not the norm. The norm is to have higher rank Havoc players. There's no consequence for them. If you fail, they don't care, and they're just terrible. They're just horrible. And you'll say, I'm sure there's some good players out there that are high ranked, but there's a lot of terrible ones too. And then you'll say, well, join the Discord and try and make a party. I'm not going to do that because that's not a requirement. It's not a requirement to go in and get a pre-made squad and do this. If they want to do it, then make it, I think you've said this before, make it like Destiny or something where I can't do something if I don't have a pre-made squad. Make it that way. I really don't care. And I know they want it to be for everybody, but I'm just not going to do that. It's not a requirement. I'm not going to. I care about Havoc. I don't care that much about Havoc. And it definitely has gotten harder since the update. I don't know if it's probably some of the modifiers, and you can talk about that, but also I think the spawns is just really bad. There's some spawns at the ends of some of the missions that didn't have it that way. I think there's just more in general. I mean, everything feels harder. But I'm fine with it being like that on high intensity shock troop Oryx or Maelstroms. That's fine. We still get through those as a duo. It's fine. But it affects Havoc, or it feels like it's affecting Havoc a lot. To the point where 21s feel like 25s, 26s now. They're very, very difficult. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about the new modifiers and the performance, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, we have played pretty much every single event that they put for free in the game, where you have the burning or the rotting armor or stuff like that. And aside from being events, eventually when the event ends, it looked like they grabbed them, copy and paste them into Havoc. There is one or two modifiers, and every time the enemy explodes, like the rotting armor one, my performance is gone completely. Even when I try to optimize the game or lower the settings, the performance is not there. And when the performance is that bad, you already have issues with the audio, that all the channels are not giving you all the information you need, specifically for the trappers, so you don't fail the mission. I feel like that gets worse. It's just so lame that they decided to just bring something from an event as a modifier for Havoc.
Yeah, I think those two modifiers have made it a lot harder in general, but not even counting those modifiers, I think the spawns and the amounts and stuff is a lot harder. And with all those spawns, getting no audio on a trapper is awful. That happens all the time. You're fighting around a 90-degree corner, and she's just in your face. And a lot of times it's okay because you're swinging, but sometimes she comes from behind, and you don't hear anything until the gun is shooting, and then it's too late. So I think it's because there's so much audio, channels of audio, that it just doesn't pick up trappers sometimes. And you've said a lot that's the one thing in the game that'll completely ruin it. So that sucks. And the performance, we have good computers, good PCs, above the recommended. Everything's fine, and the game usually runs fine, aside from when they update it and it gets broken once in a while. But with whatever's going on with Havoc, especially with the blight spreads and the rotten armor, it runs like crap.
It's unplayable.
It runs like crap.
Yeah.
And it's not on me to get a better PC or upgrade my PC. They have requirements. They have recommended specifications for the game. It's on them. If they need to update those recommended settings, well then screw you. I gave you money. I paid for the game. You told me what it was going to be, what I needed to run it, and we're at that. We're above that. And now if it takes more, that's on you. That's on Fat Shark. It runs like shit. It runs like shit, especially from the blight spreads and rotten armor. And that also is making it a lot harder, just because frame rate is just horrible. It's just awful. They're sliding around everywhere.
Oh yeah, the rotting armor slides. The big guys, the crashers, those slide.
It's terrible. Performance is just atrocious right now.
Yeah, and I think another reason why it feels harder, and not feels, is harder, is that they keep nerfing characters we use. Which I understand if something is too strong, especially DLC, you have to adjust it. But they do it so late into the, like, you have been, how long since we got the arbitrator? Like, 6 months? Maybe even longer? And now you decided to
longer than that. He came out like in summertime, I thought.
Yeah, so now after all this time, now you decide to nerf his Castigator stance because maybe it's too strong. Why you didn't do it right away? Because now I'm getting used to playing in a specific way with him, knowing how much damage I can take. And when we go to Havoc, you can't take that damage anymore because Havoc does so much more damage than other difficulties. Sometimes I'm fine, and the next time with the Arbitrator I'm dead, even with Castigator activated. So that is frustrating, and we know Fast Shark does this. They did in Vermintide. They release characters or DLCs that are too strong, and then they nerf it 6 months down the line. We knew what to expect, but after all this time, I really thought it was safe with the Arbitrator.
Yeah, I think we know Fat Shark does that, and they release him like that because they want you to have fun. You paid $12 for him. They want you to have fun, tell everybody it's great, go buy it, make sales. Now they need to nerf him to bring him in line with the game. So, they want him to be really strong and overpowered and fun, so they make their sales, and then they need to balance him. Instead of releasing him balanced, and he's just good. He's still really, really good. I'm not saying he's still really top tier, but he isn't what he used to be. He's still very good, but he's not what he used to be. The other thing I want to mention is you can talk about builds, because a lot of times we go in with 2 arbiters, and that probably isn't the best idea. But as a duo, because we like playing that way, or even with pubs, you kind of have to bring in a jack of all trades build. You have to bring in a build that can take a decent amount of damage, deal a decent amount of damage, fight the wave, kind of be able to fight monstrosities. Yeah, you have to be able to do a little bit of everything, so you can't have this very specific build. If you're doing a pre-made squad, it's going to be a lot easier. You can talk about it, you can have people bring in crowd control, and then a lot of stuff to just fight the monstrosities and Rindo, Rodin, and the captains and stuff. So I'm not saying it's not possible. Oh, it's for sure possible. There's plenty of people out there that are 4 stacking and getting to level 40 and doing it, or maybe even doing it through pubs if you do it a lot. But I get frustrated enough with pubs. I know a lot of people have said it's a really good experience with people in this community, and there's definitely some good people, but I've also had a lot of shit people that just piss me off. It just pissed me off because they just won't stop. They just want to fight about it or blame everybody else. Go fuck yourself. I don't have to deal with this. And so I just avoid it. So that's another reason. And again, I do not and am not going to go into Discord and try to sweat it out 4-stack. I'll sweat it out, but not as a 4-stack. So bringing in builds that are kind of a do-it-all build is not ideal for Havoc. It definitely isn't. But it's just kind of what we're stuck with right now.
Yeah, and to give an example of what you're talking about, because a lot of people keep asking, why you don't just play with people? And it's like, because we're a duo. We play as a duo. It's a co-op channel. This is what we do. That's what we like doing. We can do everything else in the game as a duo. Back Havoc, over level 26. I remember there was this maelstrom when they introduced into the game. They were really hard. That was just monstrosities. And we couldn't beat it as a duo. And this was before the Arbitrator even was in the game. And we decided to just join pubs with a random team that wasn't even that good. And it was so easy. Because the game doesn't downscale to less players in the lobby. It's meant to be played with a full team. That's why there's no solo gameplay. And the bots have gotten 10 times worse since the update of the expeditions.
If you go do high intensity shock troop, or for sure a really hard maelstrom on Auric, it's borderline boring if you have 2 other really good players with you. It's borderline easy and boring. So On everything else in the game, I prefer to play it as a duo because there is sometimes a challenge there. There is. Sometimes one of us will go down and one of us will have to clutch up and try to finish it. So there is some fun and reward feeling from it. But it doesn't really work in Havoc. And I like that Havoc is really hard. I'm not asking them to make it easier for me because it's not fair. No, I accept that I will never get to 40 unless I have a pre-made squad. Or am willing to dedicate my entire life to playing pubs, and hopefully it happens. But I want it to be where it was before. It was still extremely hard, and maybe it's because it was just too easy with pre-made squads. I don't know. But I want it to be like it was before Expedition. I accepted that 25-26 was where I was going to top out. The chances of me going much higher would have been either I have to get the perfect modifiers, the perfect mission, and everything just goes exactly as it should, or I need it to be, but that's probably as high as I'll go. I accepted that, and it was challenging, and I always would kind of come back to it and want to try again. Where it is now, you keep saying we struggle with 20. No, we don't really struggle with 20. It's harder, but we always get past 20 in one or two tries. 21, we get stuck at. Now, we did get to 22, and we tried 22, and we failed right away. We just got Rinda Rodin right away, and I think we got like 2 Nurgles and 2 Chaos and 1 Ogre, like all at the same time, and they were all full. It was just I don't even think you have footage of it, but we just died, right? I mean, within 5 minutes. So yeah, I want it to stay hard, but where it's at now is just
it feels
ridiculous.
Broken right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I keep saying 20 because I know 20 is not really that bad. We usually pass it, like you said, but in comparison how it was before the expeditions, 20 was
easy.
Super easy. Like, we can basically run through the mission without caring about if the bots were alive or not alive. And then it started getting harder in 21 plus. That was before expeditions. Now, the moment we pass 20, which I had to play really hard, and we make it to 21, everything goes super hard for no reason. We get 5 monstrosities at once that are full because people say, I just weaken, being something that can kill them faster.
No,
majority of the
full.
time, they're all full. And to the point, everything gets so saturated. When we get the rotting armor, it's not just 1 or 2 crushers. It's like 5 waves, mini patrols of like 10 crushers each.
we move so slow as a duo. You get through the wave, and it takes so long, and then you walk 10 feet, and you get the next wave. It's just it's so slow and
Sluggish.
Just so yeah. That's really annoying. And the other thing that's annoying, ever since the update, a lot of the times the monstrosity we get is Nurgle. And Nurgle is actually probably one of the easiest. He's really slow. He has a lot of health, but he's really slow, and it's not too big of a deal. But with us, we don't separate too much because, especially on Havoc, so he's always facing you. I know you can shoot him in the face, but you can't really shoot his weak spot. You can melee him kind of if he's not on you, but you get corrupted, and he can eat you. And then you take even if you're inside of him, you still take all the damage from outside. So for us, Nurgle is really annoying to fight, actually. I would rather fight an Ogren, or I'd prefer to fight Chaos just because he has way less health. So that's another thing that's been kind of annoying. And then a lot of times we use 2 Arbiters. A combo that seems to work relatively well in everything else is Arbiter and a Psyker. Having a Psyker just does such good crowd control. I mean, forget what it's called, the Flame Staff. That one is just one of the best weapons in the game. And you can just crowd control, you can fight some big stuff, and then the Arbiter can take a lot of damage. He can fight some big stuff. He doesn't kill the fastest maybe, but he's really good. And you have the Dome to block a lot of the range, because ever since Havoc came in, they've amped up the amount of guns. The little tiny guns and the big gunners, the shotgunners, the Reapers, the Plasma guys, they added them now, snipers, they've upped the range, because if they didn't, Hypescom would have nothing to do. So that's another really annoying thing to deal with, but still, I think that combo works until you get Rinda and Rodin and 5 full monstrosities. Then it doesn't work, because...
And then the small guns.
Yeah, because you can't... When Rinda's on, the Psyker, you're screwed. You're just screwed. And it's not like you can always help if I'm playing Psyker. You're dealing with your own thing. So Yeah, that makes it hard, but it's always been that way. So being like that and being hard and difficult is fine. It's just where it's at right now. I do not love it, and you can defend it all you want. I'll never agree with you. It's in a stupid spot right now.
Yeah, guys, if you have any suggestions, but first, before you type down in the comments, if you're going to recommend us a specific character, specific build, go for it, but be sure it works as a duo. Because if it works, if you're in a full team, even if you're not talking to teammates, I mean, I was trying a gunner build earlier.
There's so many gunner builds out there that are trash for duo.
That is
it does
good
not work.
if you can keep distance, but if I keep distance, you're alone. We're a duo, okay? You can just be by yourself.
Many gun builds with him that are very strong, but they are not good for two people. It does not work like that. It's too slow, and it just doesn't. There's not too many instances where you're behind me and it's okay. There's not too many because you're getting swarmed from the side, or they're jumping over the wall behind you, or they're getting through me. It just, a lot of those gun builds just do not work as two people. They just don't work. It doesn't matter how good you think you are or how fast you are. They just don't work that good.
No. And that's the main reason I used to be a gunner main, a veteran main. And he always has struggled with mobility and pushing and getting surrendered and dying in one hit, but he was so good at outputting damage. I used him. I don't think it's worth it anymore as a duo, because the moment I get surrendered, the moment you get surrendered, I'm dead. And then what? I prefer to have somebody like the arbitrator that can tank more damage, even if I'm slower at killing.
Yeah, the main thing is just where it was before the expeditions update happened. And I wouldn't say they reworked Havoc, but made it a little harder, and then added the new modifiers. And I know those modifiers roll over, so it won't always be like that. But it's not just that those modifiers are harder because you get so corrupted and there's so much armor, and it's that the performance is so bad, it's hard to play the game. And our computers are plenty well above the recommended. This is on Fat Shark. If they change the recommendations, it's still on Fat Shark. So no matter what, this is on Fat Shark for performance. And it's just the performance and the changes they made to it is not even fun. It always was hard, and I liked the hard challenge and knew that I couldn't get to 40 because somebody's going to say, you just want it to be easy to get 40. I don't give a fuck about that. I was fine being in the 25-26 as a duo. I was fine not getting above that. But this is like a whole different thing now. So yeah, I'm not touching Havoc again. I know you have a video where we beat one on 21 or 22.
An old video, yeah. Well,
no, it's not old. It was after the update.
It was after the update, but I mean, it's from a few days ago. So
yeah, well, I'm not touching that shit until they fix it. Or if they don't fix it, then fine. I'm never doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's not fun at all. So let us know down in the comments how you guys feel about Havoc, and thank you so much for watching.